So I guess right off the bat, I should talk about why we're going to be seeing a lot of these folks today. Um, and that's largely due to some Twitter beef that has been going on. And as much as I am usually not involved in Twitter beefs, this time I am. And you know what? To a certain extent, I pressed the button to initiate the Twitter beef, so I have to acknowledge my responsibility. Um, that being said, let's talk about it a little bit, okay? So, wait, where is it? Here we go. Here we go. All right. Where is it? There we go. Nope, this isn't it. There we go. All right. So, our good friend Sophia Narwitz, um, I did a video on her video called "Activists Are Hurting the Gay Community," and basically, my thesis for the video. Her video was roughly 6.5 minutes long. My thesis for the video was that, hey, you're not transphobic if you don't want to date a trans person. However, if them being trans is the only reason you don't want to date them, then that is maybe some cause for some introspection to possibly root out some bigotry or bias in your own, consciousness. Um, I don't think that that's a highly controversial opinion. Like, similarly, I think if you insert any minority, I wouldn't want to blanket date any of them. I think that that's maybe a sign that you might have some bigotry. But you know what? I don't think that alone, like a decision to not date a trans person, that by itself is not an indicator of you being bigoted. If it's the only reason you're not dating someone, maybe. So that was my hot take. That was my hot take. Is that I don't think it is an indication of bigotry. Just that maybe you want to think about it a little bit. Um, so so in response to that, uh, Sophia Narwitz, who has roughly 46,000 people who follow her, um, apparently felt it necessary to say, Riverboat Jack, I'm not transphobic, nor am I self-hating, and I'm not embarrassed by trans people because they happen to be trans. The only ones I don't want to associate with are screeching imbeciles who can't make it through breakfast without their Cheerios offending them, aka people like you. First off, Cheerios are disgusting cereal. I'm offended by the implication that I would ever eat Cheerios. Um, Cheerios are disgusting. I think we can all agree on this. On top of that, I have now been getting just constant replies to this all fucking day. It's very irritating. Many of them calling me like pathetic or crazy or basically going into like so some of them have been funny. I laughed at this one. Cheerios were taunting me constantly spelling out ooh. I like this one. I like this one a lot. Um, I don't give a fuck about Cheerio feelings, okay? I don't give a fuck about them. All right. Uh, but like part of the issue here, and like why I indicated, hey, maybe she has some internalized transphobia, is because a lot of trans folk have internalized transphobia. A lot of trans folk internalize the hatred and bigotry of society, and they turn it against themselves or fellow trans people. And this is a phenomenon that is not just limited to trans people in general. It's also part of like a lot of different minorities who experience prejudice and bigotry. There are people who have internalized racism. There are people who have internalized homophobia. These are things that we've known about for a very, very long time in society. And it causes like there's a phenomenon among like gay people to like hate other gay people because they look ridiculous or are too flamboyant. They make the rest of the community look bad. Um, this is a symptom of internalized transphobia or internalized whatever. Um, let's see. Dreary Dumpling, hello, and thank you for the follow. I will stay as long as I can hide behind your apron strings against the liberal Johnny come lately anarchists trolling me. Well, Dreary Dumpling, I'm sorry you're getting trolled by anarchists, but my apron is wide and comforting, okay? So yeah, this is the basic thesis of my argument. This is why I was called out on Twitter. So we might have a bunch of people coming through to tell me that like trans people are insane, and if you're heterosexual, you can't like trans people. Yeah, or a lot of people saying a transgender. I think we might see some of this. And also, like, I don't want one of the things I saw in a lot of these replies, because I went through and I read some of them because you know what, I want to be able to reach people like this. Part of it is this idea that trans people have to be a hive mind, but that's not really what by the trans community, that's not really what people are talking about when they talk about the trans community. Largely, they're talking about about the fact that trans people in general face a lot of the same kinds of challenges. Trans people in general have a lot of the same economic positions. You can make some broad generalizations. Making broad generalizations, however, does not mean that every trans person is the same, or should think the same, or should have the same ideas. Now, that being said, that also means that I'm free to criticize other trans people who have bad ideas. So, yeah, if I see a trans person who has bad ideas, I'm going to tell you that they have bad ideas. And largely, I think that Sophia Narwitz in her video goes too far catering towards people who are like, of the persuasion that, like, I am a heterosexual who only prefers straight women. I do not want to date a transgender. But you can date a straight transgender woman. Like, there are lots of straight transgender women out there who have pussies. So, like, I don't know. Maybe that might be an indicator that you might have some transphobia in you. That you're not, like, you realize, like, not all racists have to be, like, dropping the N-word every time they're talking about black people in order to be racist. Some racists can just be like, oh, I don't want that low-income housing to be built near us because it will lower our property value. You know how they are. Like, you don't have to be like an outright bigot, but you can still have like these milder bigoted ideas. And so, like, yeah, I mean, maybe if you're making blanket statements about all trans people, that might be an indicator that you have some transphobia in you. And you know what? That's not even a big criticism, right? It's not a big criticism of you to have internalized biases. Because you know why? Everyone has internalized biases. It's by recognizing them and working on them that we get better. So, yeah, all I'm asking is for some introspection to better understand yourself and why you do the things you do. Also, as for this one, like, if someone's asexual, why would you call them transphobic? Like, they don't want to have sex with you. That's fine. That's not what they're into. So yeah, don't call out like asexual people for not wanting to like sleep with you and call them like homophobic or heterophobic or whatever. Like, yeah, they're asexual. That's fine. Let's see. Let's see. I learned my lesson. I won't engage with those people. And even a normal conversation, they are so crazy and full of hate, they instantly see everyone that is not associated with them as hostile. They will twist your words to fit their own agenda and brand you an enemy. I don't think these people are my enemy. Like, there are some of them in these comments who are, like, have bad ideas, but having bad ideas doesn't make you my enemy. It just means that I'm here to convince you. That's the entire purpose of my Twitch channel. Let's see. Do you think angry prejudice can be a great driver of lust? Yeah, I think sometimes. Like hate and lust have very similar, like, I think there is a connection between hatred and lust. Yeah. Hatred, love, and lust also. I think this is why that there are a lot of, like, homophobes or, like, very outspoken homophobes who later come out as gay, or outspoken transphobes who later come out as, like, either trans or, like, they get married to a trans person. Apparently, like, Steven Crowder, I believe, has, like, flirted with trans women in their DMs. So yeah. Am I heterophobic if I'm scared of talking with straight people? I mean, maybe a little bit. Maybe. Let's see. This person doesn't realize that just because you share a label does not mean you're part of a hive mind. I kind of covered that already. There are sections of the gay community that are at odds with each other because of behaviors. They all don't suddenly agree and just with everything just because they're gay. Absolutely. I agree with that, 100%. Lynn Disease, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it immensely. Let's see. Internalized transphobia is trans, lulz. Again, you can be part of a group and still have internalized, like negative ideas about that same group. There are people who fall into that category. Let's see. They've really watered down the meaning of transphobic. Well, again, you could also say the same that they've really watered down the meaning of racism just because we don't associate it with people who say the N-word just because we don't, like, solely associate it with people who are dropping N-bombs, you know? Yeah, racism is a large category, so is transphobia. We're talking about redneck demon mama nonsense? No, we're talking about my nonsense that I started by covering a video that was not very good. Someone started a Twitter beef with me, IP a lot. It's my first Twitter beef. It's my first Twitter beef. Oh, Archangel, if you need to go lay down, please do. Oh snap, congrats. I know, like, IP a lot. I broke 1,000 followers on Twitch. Very next day, I get my first Twitter beef. I'm feeling very good right now. You know, I get free advertising to 50,000 plus people on Twitter. You know, it's a good feeling. Thank you. Welcome to the big leagues, I guess. Yeah, I'm moving up in the world. Indeed I am. They go hand in hand. Exactly. I'm clawing my way up. I'm gonna be bigger than Hassan, baby. Bigger than Hassan. To be fair, some Cheerios are serial offenders. Good joke. You know what? To their credit, there are a lot of funny responses buried in this tweet that I enjoyed quite a bit. Let's see. Why would a trans person be embarrassed about being around other trans people? And if trans person hates themselves, why stay trans? These people are up their own asses. So this is actually like a really good question, right? This is something that I actually hear quite a bit of. I know, my first Twitter drama, I'm all grown up. So there are people who are embarrassed because they are aware of the social stigma of being trans, and so they try and overcome it and differentiate themselves from the rest of the trans community. So, for example, there is an underlying subgroup of trans people called true scum. This is the general term for them. And generally, this group of trans people goes out of their way to basically say, well, I've had bottom surgery, I've been on hormones for X number of years, and anyone who hasn't had the surgery, hasn't been on hormones long enough, they're not a real trans person. This is an effort to kind of distance themselves from other trans people that they feel don't make trans people look ridiculous because they're early in their transition, or they feel like it gives those are the trans people who are giving the rest of them a stigma. So yeah, there are trans people who, despite having gone through the same process that a lot of people are just starting, turn around and say those aren't real trans people because I'm embarrassed to be around them. Yeah, I pee a lot. Blair White would be a really good example of that. So, yeah, and if a person hates themselves, why stay trans? Well, the issue isn't that they hate themselves for being trans. The issue is that they hate the social stigma around being trans, and they try and basically get out of that stigma by separating themselves from people that they see as, making, painting a target on them. And so this is kind of like a defense mechanism. They hate their own group of people that other people are going to lump them in with. Yeah. Or Archangel Decab, very good point. Or don't 100% conform to gender identity. Yeah, a lot of true scum trans folk tend to invalidate non-binary people who aren't conforming to traditional male roles or traditional female roles. Yeah, it's there's a lot tied up in this. So yeah, it's a complicated issue that I think it's worth diving into, and this is actually, despite being kind of not worded very well, a pretty good question. That's why people don't like Buck Angel, right? He's supposed to be a true scum or something similar. Yeah, I mean, with Buck Angel, it's a bit difficult because he comes from kind of like an old school, like he's an old school, like, I guess, trans man. Yeah, I feel like older trans folk have been through a whole fucking lot. And so I think that maybe they deserve a bit more slack when it comes to these things. But yeah, he has said some stuff that's very true scummy. Um, Return to your father? Okay. What's a male that likes women called cis male? Sorry, new to all this? No, so Necromandian, a transgender person is someone who is not comfortable with the gender identity they were assigned at birth. A cisgender person is somebody who is comfortable with the gender they were assigned at birth. So like, if you grew up and the doctor took you out of the womb, was like, look, it's a little baby dick. You're a man. And your parents dressed you in blue or whatever, and you grow up and you're comfortable with that, then you'd be a cisgender man. If you're uncomfortable with that and then transition, that would make you a transgender woman. Yeah. Also, yes, gender and sexual orientation are different. So yeah, I would be a cis then. Yeah. Yeah, you would either be like a cis woman or a cis man. Generally, it's polite to refer to people as if you're talking with a trans person and you want to make the distinction that they're trans, you would say they're a transgender man, a transgender woman, a transgender person, or non-binary. These are the things that you would say to be kind of polite. And likewise, if you want to make that distinction, you would be like, I am a cis man, or you are a cis woman. Generally, you wouldn't say you are a transgender or you are a cisgender, because transgender or cisgender are adjectives. They're supposed to be descriptive, kind of like saying that that's a tall woman or a short woman. It's a trans woman or a cis woman. Let's see. Correct me if I'm wrong. You call trans and gay trans and You can be trans and gay, trans and lesbian, trans and straight. Yeah, exactly. And trans and queer. They're you know, your gender identity does not really have a bearing on what your sexual preferences are. I know that gender and sex are different, just don't want to upset anyone by typing something wrong in chat or offensive by mistake. It's okay. This is a place where people can come and learn, okay? I'm trusting my mods to be like give people a lot of leeway when it comes to this issue, because you know what, I didn't grow up knowing all the terminology. I didn't grow up like being taught in school what a transgender person was. Are you kidding me? I didn't find that out until I was in my 20s. So like, yeah, I want to cut give people the same patience and respect and education that I wish I had gotten, you know? Don't be the I'm just here to learn then intentionally say something horrible. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Don't be like, I'm just here to learn. Why are all black people like blah? Like, yeah, don't do that, please. Christian J. Watkins, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it, friend. Coward, skip my comment week. Be strong for once and defend yourself. What? You said love you. You're good. Nobody cares. Wait, what comment do you want me to address? There's a lot of people talking right now, friend. Thank you, I do try to understand. Well, that's great. I'm more confident as a man now, and if I met a great trans woman, great trans man, please specify. That's like the polite thing to do. I would handle it a lot better now, largely through what I've been able to learn from progress, etc. That's awesome. You're accepted? Yeah. You're accepted. Let's see. I wouldn't want to hang with adult crybabies. I don't care what they are. I just can't hang with that shit. You know what? Samesies. I can't hang with adult crybabies either. That would be very, very frustrating. Astria597, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. I like how her chat is dead and only like 4 people are allowed to talk because she banned everyone else. Says a lot. Yes, that's what I'm known for in my chat. Banning people. I ban people with an iron fist in my chat. That's why we've had lots of discussions about, you know, people coming in and arguing that they should be able to own women as slaves, or neo-Nazis coming in to make their points. Yeah, this is this is what I'm known for, banning everyone in my chat. Gosh. Let's see. Why do they always bring up black people? I knew she'd try the comparison. I met someone who did the exact same thing yesterday. Well, because there are a lot of similarities between different minority groups and how they're treated. So it's usually a way to kind of show that like one struggle and another struggle have similarities. That's generally why. You've clearly banned me, the staunch libertarian capitalist. I know. I pee a lot. Your ghost somehow continues to haunt this chat. I'm a child crybaby. Oh no. Well, see, this is why we can't have an NSFW room in the Discord, okay? A trans activist is not necessarily a trans person, and not all trans people are trans activists. True. True. I agree. Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum. Is the most dumbest get out of solid argument card I've ever seen. Thanks, Jesus Christ. I'm sure. What games do I play? Well, I have a whole bunch right here. I think, wait, there we go. Oh, I messed up my camera. There we go. Yeah, I'm actually pretty digital at this point. I think I have like, what is my Steam library up to? It's up to a lot. However many a lot is. I don't know. It's a large number. I worked as a video game journalist for many years, so I have a sizable collection of games. Many video game. This is true. This is true. I've been obsessed with Football Manager recently. Yeah, I can't get into that, you know? Let's see. On the topic of LGBTQA issues, I use the LGBTQA tag when I stream. I use it as a means to indicate that my channel is a safe space for anyone. Had someone come in a few nights ago and gripe at me for doing this, saying I don't need an ally. Thoughts on this? I think that's stupid. I think that LGBTQ people are largely benefited by having allies who are not LGBTQ. And yeah, I think that I would just say that that's a stupid position to have. Um, uh, Help, I downloaded WoW. There's no saving you now, friend. Um, yeah, Humble Tales. IP a lot is has a pretty good safe space for straight white males. Yes. Um, IP a lot. I believe he used to be a professional therapist, like family therapist. No, here. I'm pretty sure we have a fair number of straight white males here. Ba-dum, bum, 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 ba. Then you're golden. Hell yeah, friend. I've got nothing against straight white folk. Most of my friends are straight white folk, okay? Let's see. Yeah, no, I think that every movement for equality needs allies. Alienating allies is a stupid thing to do. I think mostly that's something that comes from people who have had negative experiences with people who call themselves allies, you know? Let's see. Let's be honest, anyone who decides that Cheerios are an acceptable breakfast is probably a psychopath. Agreed. Best comment. Best comment in this Twitter beef. Whole grain Cheerios are very based, though. I do agree. Let's see. Ironically, when I used to think with the trans mob was when I did not like myself. They would never accept that, though. Well, I'm sorry. I hope this person found some acceptance. Women are vessels. Thank you very much for the follow. I'm glad you've returned, I guess. I hope you hope you're having a better day today, friend. Okay. Internalize is fucking stupid as a concept. Is fucking stupid as a concept in any way. If you are, you just are. If I hate Latinos, I just hate them. I don't internalize anything. These new meanings for words to sound smart or superior are just idiotic. I don't understand how people aren't getting it. Like, this isn't me making up new terms. This is like what the science is. This is like what the psychological science is. Yeah, and we've known about this for like decades. This isn't like newfangled terminology that is being forced on you by the evil SJWs. This is just accurate terminology. The world needs more serial-based conflicts. Oh, gosh. How dare we have specific terminology to refer to specific phenomenon? Indeed. Indeed. Love how she quote tweets this and only says lol. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say to this, right? Like, I don't know. I don't feel... I've seen enough of Sophia Narwitz's content to say that, like, I don't necessarily think she's acting in good faith. I feel like if she was, this wouldn't be the takeaway from my video. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's fine. Oh gosh. The trans community send my social dysphoria off the deep end even more than any bigot could. You know what though? This is actually something that can happen. You know, like when you're part of like a transgender community, it can set you off. There can be things that trigger you. Um, there are aspects of like the trans community where like you see a transition timeline, or you see another trans person posting selfies, or you see a trans person with kind of a yikesy take. um these are things that can like really set off people's dysphoria. I wouldn't blame someone for having this kind of reaction, but I think applying this kind of brush to the entire transgender community, a bit unfair. A bit unfair. I had to explain to Redneck the other night about the neuropsychology of trans people's brains and how they are more similar to their gender identity than that of their birth gender. Then people were like, since when? Bitch, I'm like 36. Been out of grad school for almost 10 years, so at least that old. Yeah, I mean, like, on top of it, like, I pee a lot. I try and simplify this down to, like, a basic level. People don't act like the way people would need to act and interact with other people for like biology to be the defining like factor in what your gender identity is. Like people don't act like that. People don't walk up and like grab your crotch to see what your genitals are. People don't like take blood samples to like figure out what your DNA and your chromosomes are. People just don't act like this. And if they did, a lot more people would be getting booked for sexual assault. Um, so, yeah, I think that, like, the argument that your sex and your gender are the same thing is really, really fucking weird to me. I'm pro-trans folk until they call me a bigot for not wanting to date one of them. I would like to have children one day, something they can't provide. Militant, anything pisses me off. Fight for your rights yet, but don't ever force your crap on others. So this one's a bit tricky because, like, on the one hand, I can definitely understand. Let's see. I have horrible reception here. Oh, I'm sorry, Radical Maniac. Hello. I didn't see your last message, but I hope you're having a wonderful day. So yeah, this one's tricky because a lot of people have a understandable desire to like have like kids that are biologically related to them. However, you can also adopt kids. A lot of like cisgendered couples adopt children. This is actually like this is doable. This is a workable situation. But I would never say like, oh, you want to have your wife birth a child that's related to you. That makes you a bigot. I don't know that anyone would say that. But again, like if you're attracted to a trans woman and the only issue is that she's trans and you just write her off because you wouldn't want to date her because she's trans, again, that's worth some introspection. Maybe you have some bigotry there, and maybe you'd be happier if you were able to get over it. This is all I'm advocating for, by the way. I want you to be happy and want you to be happy with what you might actually want. Bigotry prevents us from connecting with other people, and this would make it more like it would make your life better too. Do you remember your past life? I don't know what you mean by past life, but no, I don't think so. Can I ask an ignorant cis person question? What are your thoughts on telling someone you are dating / wanting to date you are trans, especially as someone who passes? It's a tough question, right? Because on the one hand, there are people who pass completely. Like, if you pass completely, you've had bottom surgery. By the way, for those of you who don't know, if you have bottom surgery now to, like, get a pussy, like it's indistinguishable from like a cis woman's pussy. So like, yeah, it's one of those things where like, if you've had the surgery and you don't feel like telling anybody, I'm not sure I can really fault you for not wanting to tell anyone. If you can live life without having anything give you away, I don't know. Is someone is someone obligated to tell you their entire medical history when you've gone on like 2 or 3 dates? I don't know. I would say no. But like if you're talking about like marriage or something, yeah, maybe that should be something that comes up. Or maybe like when you're going steady. When it comes to like myself personally, I tell everyone up front as soon as I possibly can, because A, I don't want to date someone who hates me, and B, like there is a personal safety element. Like a lot of trans women get fucking murdered by people because they're trans, and they reveal it on like a date, and then they get dismembered. I would rather not get dismembered by a partner, so I usually tell people that I'm trans. Um, I have to meet people in public places to make sure that like I'm safe. I can't like take anything that I haven't seen like poured by a bartender or like a waiter. These things are genuine risks for trans folk on dates. Um, which is why I advocate for all members of minority groups staying strapped. Exactly. Join your local DSA. Join the Socialist Rifle Association. Okay. Um, so yeah, I would say just to be safe, you should like disclose. But I would also much rather be able to live in a society where like I don't have to be so afraid, and other people can be like just open about it, Like I don't know, there are a lot of guys out there who are super into trans women. Like super into trans women, but they would never be caught dead on a date with them. Yeah, Jack with my radical anti-dismemberment stance. Indeed, indeed. Um, let's see. Issue about having kids is many cis women cannot have kids, so that's a terrible argument against trans people. Exactly, Ashley Stella. That too. This is a complicated question, right? Like the question posed by this tweet. I think we're actually getting like a lot of really good talking points out of this. So this Twitter beef has been incredibly informative for a lot of people, I think. Pink pistols for any LGBTQ folk. Oh gosh. Did someone say SRA? I mean, maybe, yeah. Nothing wrong with joining your local SRA. Not, Let's see. Jack is bad. Is it bad if I like the idea of being fetishized? No. It's fine if that's what you're into. If you're into somebody else's fetish, that's great. Just most trans people who are just like looking to go out on a date, they're not looking to date someone who is objectifying them and doesn't see them as like a real fucking human being. Yeah, it's all about consent. Exactly. If that's your thing, no judgment. Just most trans people probably don't want to be objectified like that. We're allowed to have our preferences. Nothing wrong with wanting to date women who are not trans. Exactly, Mike Oxmall. There's nothing wrong with not wanting to date trans women. But I would just say that maybe if you're attracted to a trans woman and like you like the only thing about her that you don't like is that she's trans, maybe that's cause for some introspection, because maybe you have some internalized transphobia. Maybe you have some toxic ideas that you would be happier if you were living without, I've honestly never gotten the idea like you should date someone because of X or Y. You wouldn't date someone because of X or Y. Like, why wouldn't you just go live your life and fall in love with whoever you fall in love with? Yeah, exactly, the train mod. I feel like that's a much healthier attitude to have. But to each their own. Like if you are genuinely like not if you genuinely have this kind of preference, that I don't think someone should put a gun to your head and be like, you have to date that trans woman. Like, obviously not. You know, just think about shit. Like that's what I advocate for here. Think about shit. But yes, I did quote tweet it and say lol. We are trans of Borg. You will be assimilated. Your genitals will adapt to service us. Preference is futile. Unironically, I bet this is taken from a fan fiction. Unironically, I bet this is from fan fiction. Xavier Zeta, I'm actually keeping the space open because I think I might have a different guest on tonight who wanted to talk. But, yeah, maybe a different time. Where is it here? Oh, by the way, just as an FYI, I have a lot less patience on my Twitter, mostly because that's like a slightly more professional space for me. So if people come and be shitty to me on Twitter, I probably will ban you or block you or mute you or something like that. I just don't have patience for that. Is it critically thinking vegan? No, critically thinking veteran is not the one I'm having a Twitter beef with. Hi, how are you? I'm doing great. I broke 1K followers. I have a Twitter beef advertising me on Twitter. This is great. Let's see. Oh gosh, there are a lot of questions that I missed. No state-mandated trans girlfriends. You just lost the radical left, Jack. Well, whose username? Instead, I advocate for Zardoz heads to come around spitting femboys out. I think this would be a very practical and a brilliant way to win back the radical left, okay? As well as the radical right, because we know what they like. Looking at you, Nick Fuentes. Necromandian, I believe if you love/like someone, what gender society has labeled them with at birth is irrelevant. Love the person for being that person, not what others have decided is the norm. Precisely. Unless, as we discussed yesterday, they are underage, in which case, absolutely do not have sex with them, do not try and seduce them, do not try and use your power over them. Because remember, people, Trapped is awful and has been suspended from Twitter for arguing that it's not, it's actually fine for like a 40-year-old to have sex with a 15-year-old. Yeah, again, don't be like Trapped, everyone. Don't be like Trapped. Good advice for everyone out there. Is there any aspect of being trans where someone would embrace their transition? Wait, what? Here, I'm gonna switch to this camera real quick. Where someone would embrace their transition. I get the desire to be the opposite sex, but why does the person's origin and their challenging change have to be covered up? A trans person isn't inferior to a cisgender male/female. I feel like owning it should be a more popular and accepted idea. They're not trying to be something they're not. They're just on a journey. I guess I don't quite understand the question. I think that most transgender people embrace their journey. I think most transgender people super cool about being trans. Like it's what we want to do. It's what literally helps us fix our brains. Yeah. Oh, I just remembered I asked about talking about how to improve school history curriculums. You said you would be down to talk about it. Any idea when you'd be open to do that? Maybe later this week. This might be an unpopular opinion, but am I the only one here who thinks that no one in politics with power cares about us? Logan King, 1997-6. I think that you are in good company. I think there are a lot of people in politics right now who don't give a flying fuck about anyone on the ground. They don't care about workers. They don't care about the general public. They mostly care about getting money from their corporate donors. And I think this is something that we need to work to change, which is why I made my Twitch channel. I want to make the world a better place, yo. I want your help to do it. So I hope you enjoy your time in my chat for however long you're here. And yeah, if you feel like it, hit that follow button, and we'll work to change the world into a less shitty place. Where can I get a Twitter beef? I don't know. Make some videos about some smaller reactionaries. Fuck trapped indeed. Indeed. Fancy seeing you here. Hello, Slaz. Hot take, pedophiles are bad. Indeed. Slaz, I'm over 1,000 followers now. You mean don't make shitty white trash rock music? Exactly, IP lot. Yeah, exactly. Most rock stars are pedophiles. Yes. And we should lock them in prison. Was a good day yesterday. Let's see. Lit, thanks. Tell me when you're open for it. Call in. Okay. Spank that follow button. Spank it hard. Yeah, smash that follow button, babes. Okay, I finally caught up in chat. Are you gonna help me grow weed to change the world? Cali Kid? Maybe. Let them do the jailhouse rock. I think there may be 2 or 3 at most in politics who actually care. Maybe. I think there are maybe more than that. I think a lot of people at like local or state levels tend to care a little bit more. But once you get up to the national level, it becomes much harder to find people who are genuine. I tend to think that the squad has been fairly genuine. They're pretty good at playing politics and being genuine. But yeah, I have no idea what party I fall under. All I know is I want everyone, no matter is to have a good life, is to make good life choices and leave everyone else alone. Yeah, Logan King. Basically, I'm a socialist, so I believe that like we live in a society, and one of the questions that we have to face as a society is, you know, how we're going to collectively bear the costs of society. And you can either have it be individual, or you can have it be collective, and the more efficient way is to do it collectively. I took look at all the sketchy shit Ilhan Omar has done already. I don't think it's that sketchy. I don't know. I looked into it. I had some conservative folk sending me stuff. I looked into it. It didn't seem all that sketchy to me. At least compared to like other campaigns. Like I don't know. It seemed less sketchy than most. Governor J.B. Pritzker. I don't know much about the governors, to be honest with you. I've been growing for 20 years. All right, let's go back to covering some of these transphobic tweets, or tweets about the trans community. There we go. That's a better way of saying it. Oh, you criticize this rapidly growing global movement? That's transphobic. How dare you analyze us? I think I need to clarify. I don't think it's a rapidly growing movement for trans people or like gay people to be like, if you don't suck a trans woman's big throbbing cock, you're a bigot. I don't think that's a mass movement. I don't think many people have that position. You know, I just don't think that's it. I think that's a very big misrepresentation. And we get to this person who's talking about My Little Pony, which is I don't know anything about that show, so I'm gonna move on. She's still looking for work. Yep, but I'm working on a bunch of stuff right now. I've got a bunch of cool freelance projects up in the air. I've got some offers for some freelance work in games. I'm doing okay at the moment. I'm doing okay. But if someone wants to come along and offer me a lot of money to go do something, I'll think about it. I'll think about it. If you don't stand up for yourself, Wait, wait, why is the why is the quartering here? Wait, what? Did the quartering respond to this? What? Why is the quartering added here? Did the quartering retweet this? What? 5 hours ago. He might have retweeted. Yep, the quartering retweeted it. Boys, we've gone, this beef has gone big time, okay? We've gotten Nazi apologist the quartering to retweet our beef. Indeed, I have made it now from 50,000 people being exposed to my content to what are we up to now? 102,000 plus 50,000. So, you know what? 150,000 people seeing my content. I feel pretty good about that. You know? Oh gosh. Plot twist, I already want to screw a trans chick. Wink. Oh, is he a classical liberal? I'm sure. You know, the the quartering, someone well known for saying, well, Hitler I think won a Nobel Peace Prize, so what have you done? Yeah, I think that's where he's standing. Don't forget us little people. I won't. Don't worry. Again, we're gonna be bigger than Hassan, everybody. We'll be bigger than Hassan. We'll be all over this place. Ooh, let's take a look at the offensive content. I feel like this person is trans but got in the wrong line. Trans retard is a thing? Wait, but got in the wrong line? I legitimately don't understand what this is trying to say. I understand, like, it's trying to say that I'm retarded. I get that. But, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Humble Tales, that one of my mods was a jerk to you. You're fine if you want to stay and, like, be respectful. Just hash it out with Archangel. Are we going in lines now? Yeah, I don't know. What's the wrong... Yeah, exactly. Like, is there, like, a line that you get in to be labeled retarded and another line that you get in to be labeled as trans? I don't understand what this is trying to say. Maybe this will, you know, give more. Being embarrassed of trans spaces doesn't mean one's embarrassed by individuals that make up those circles. She's embarrassed by the topics and tones within the interactions. Someone posted a lefty meme where he explained their memes are nuanced. It applies here. See, though, her take wasn't nuanced, though. Her take literally ended with, suck my dick, bigot. Or something along those lines. I don't think it had a lot of room for nuance. But anyway. Oh, dude said some shit in your DMs? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, this was a fun ride. I feel like we learned a lot. I feel like there was a lot of really good content here. Yeah. Let's take a look. It's in a book. Do I consider myself to be a decent-sized Twitch streamer? If not, when will you, and would you consider yourself a big Twitch streamer? I do not consider myself a big Twitch streamer. At all. There we go. Oops. Mostly I consider myself a small Twitch streamer. I think someone in these Twitter comments also mentioned something about, like, she calls herself the #1 streamer, like, politics streamer on Twitch, and that's very lolsy. She only has, like, 60 to 700 views per stream, and that's true, Except that when I stream, I'm usually the #1 streamer in the politics section of Twitch. I am, very technically, the #1 politics streamer on Twitch. Very technically, because most other people stream in the just chatting category. There you go. Let's see. So, I don't consider myself a decent-sized Twitch streamer yet. I consider myself fairly small. I think I've done a really good job growing so far in the past 2 months. And I will consider myself a big Twitch streamer when I become, how about this? I'll consider myself a big Twitch streamer when we hit the number of like followers and subscriptions that would like allow me to live off of my income from Twitch. At that point, I will consider myself a big Twitch streamer, and after that, the goal is Hassan. Okay, we'll become colossal. We will become massive. We will become domineering. Sorry for the confusing questions. I guess I was getting to the root of XXXY. The most successful transitions still can't change the DNA of who you are, so can it be good to embrace it and to say I'm a male with female chromosomes and vice versa? Wait. A trans person equals just as much as a person as a non-transitioned person, but I feel like some people confuse the same and equal and get in each other's way. Or do you mean, for instance, a transitioned male to female saying that they are the same as a female? I'm still confused a bit at how you're wording this, but generally my position is most people don't actually know what their chromosomes are. Have you ever had a DNA test? Do you know what your chromosomes are? Because unless you've had a DNA test, you don't actually know. And there are a variety of conditions that could cause you to be perceived as male, but to have XX chromosomes, or a different combination of chromosomes. So, like, unless you've had a DNA test, you yourself don't know what your DNA is. You're just making a bunch of assumptions and fitting it into a gendered construct. So this is why largely I'm just saying, like, I don't think DNA actually factors into questions about gender all that much. Let's see. I just think that, like, there's a reason we have transgender and cisgender. You know, a transgender woman is just as much of a woman as a cisgender woman, but, like, there's a reason why those adjectives apply to one and not the other. Like, a transgender woman is obviously different than a cisgender woman. But they're still both women. The same as, like, a white woman is just as much of a woman as a black woman. But they're still both women. Just different kinds of women. That's it. Laying down the foundations to become that, Jack. With time it will grow. Only way is up. Exactly, babies. We're gonna get bigger. I think I doubled the amount of followers I gained over last month. So again, if we keep this up, guys, we'll be like we could be doubling in size every month. That'd be super cool. I'd be super down for that. We coming for that ass, Hassan. Give me that ass. Indeed. Indeed. Let's be real. Hassan probably has a really nice ass. I've never seen it, but you know what? Dude's pretty cut. Dude's pretty cut. We must shill for you everywhere, Jack. Indeed, Linky. Please, go forth and shill for me. Spread my content. Well, if you are fertile, you know, right? Well, but Holsky, no, you don't. There have been, like, 70 or 80-year-old men who, like, go to the doctor for, like, stomach pain, and they find out that they've had a uterus for their entire lives. Like, there are a variety of different conditions where you can still be, like, sexually viable as one sex, but have completely different anatomy from what you might think you do. the fact is, we like, even though we can make these generalized statements about XX or XY, the reality is biology is a lot more complicated than that. Um, so yeah. If you are fertile or your wife has had an abortion, you have standard chromosomes. Nope. There are other possibilities there. Yeah, there are intersex people who can be biologically fertile. You know, who can produce children. I've seen the picture of Hassan holding a big dog while being shirtless. He's a very attractive man. A very attractive man. And I'm not usually attracted to men. Hassan is handsome, but he'd be hotter if he wasn't so cringe about libs. Yeah, maybe. But there are more genetic abnormalities, Jack. Things like Klinefelters. Oh, absolutely. I don't want to like belittle that. I'm just saying like biology is way more complicated than what like most people on Twitter are like, well, XXXY. Like it's a lot more complicated. Oh, Nindreen, here, let's mod you up. There you go. Nindreen, you are now a mod. I dub thee mod. So I got a question. Korach, ask your question. How do you promote gender identification while also promoting that no gender works one way? Like, how can you say I identify as a woman while also advocating that a gender doesn't think, act, or like X, Y, and or Z? Well, so this is actually a pretty good question, right? So I need to catch up here. Here we go. So basically, I think that we need to eliminate prescriptivist notions of gender, which means like boys have to like blue, boys can't cry, girls are the ones who raise children. You know, like these prescriptivist notions, I think, are bad. Meanwhile, I think descriptivist notions of gender are, they can be good. Like, it's masculine to be big and strong, but it gets a bit messy, right? Because it's a gender construct. We can construct it however we want. I just want to get rid of the confines that like kind of force people to act in ways that they don't want to. I want to get rid of that, and I want people to act the way they want to act, and whatever category they fall into, that's fine. I want to take the negative aspects out of how we currently gender people. So there, I think that answers your question. It gets a little bit messy, and being a streamer, I have to think on my feet a lot, so maybe I didn't articulate that super well. A lot of that is natural. I have 4 boys, and you can't prove that. Well, some of it might be natural, but others of it definitely aren't. Like, the only reason blue is associated with boys is because a marketing team in the 1960s decided that it would be profitable to market blue to boys and pink to girls. That's not like an inherent quality to like the genders. That's just something we kind of arbitrarily decided. And like, even though we collectively kind of say, well, boys like blue and trucks, that's not actually true, though. There are a lot of like girls who are growing up and who love playing with cars and who love learning about engineering. All of this is like the prescriptivist notions that I'm kind of talking about. A lot of humanity is gray, I agree, but some things are like steel gears. I don't know what that means. No, there are no other possibilities, because if you are a hermaphrodite, say a man but with a womb, you still have standard chromosomes. No. It's very possible to not have standard chromosomes and to be able to reproduce. There's been a video, Holsky, that's been shared in chat a few times. I recommend you watching that video. It's about 13 minutes long. It's very dense with information. I recommend you watch it. It's very good at breaking down how biology is actually far more complicated than most people understand it. And I think it would be helpful for you to understand this issue. That's what I'm confused of. If there's no definition of what gender is, then how can you declare what gender you are? Well, part of this is that it's aspirational, right? Like, it's aspirational to be able to remove those prescriptivist notions. If we were able to do that, society, I think, would look a lot different, and how people might identify might look different too. But currently, we live in a society where things are quite gendered, and so people identify in these specific ways. Um, I'm not advocating for us to destroy gender, but I am advocating for us to kind of destigmatize or get rid of these elements of how we gender people currently that hurt people. And basically, so you can be free. I can call up and debate you on this. Holsky, watch the video first, and then you can debate, okay? Take 13 minutes to watch that video, and then you can come back and call in, okay? Hello, I'm back. How can we do better as men? Like, just being less toxic. I feel like we are at a dangerous point with reactionaries recruiting young men. Yeah, I mean, we are at that kind of dangerous point. Before I get to you, though, didn't they call all children girls until like 100 years ago, until they got old enough to discern between genders? And they would put all children, boys and girls, in dresses. Thought I remembered hearing something like that. Yeah, radical maniac. The way we've treated gender throughout history in different times and places varies off the charts. Like, there are some societies that have had like 5 or 6 genders. There are some societies that have had 3. There are some that had 4. There are some that had all kinds of different gender like positions. And yeah, even within Europe, there was a lot of variation. So yeah, like there was a time period where like girl was like just the thing you called young children. If I'd lose, I don't mind. I just want to explain how I see it. Well, Holsky, part of the reason I keep saying please watch the video is because it will help you understand, and then we can have a conversation where I don't have to just like repeat facts from the video. So I'll put it in chat again. Watch that video, come back, and we can talk about it. I'm very willing to talk about it. I just don't want to be like wasting people's time by like having to go over this information twice. All right. My goodness, going over this Twitter beef has taken over an hour. I thought it was going to be much faster, but it was not. Content, indeed, content. Yeah, women should be allowed to be strong and like providers. Men should be allowed to be weak and to be like stay at home and child rearing. Like, having these distinctions as a society only hurt us. Now, when it comes to your question, Dro Stream, when we're talking about how can men be less toxic, I think that's a misunderstanding of what toxic masculinity means, right? It's not just that men are toxic, it's that society in general has different prescriptivist notions of what masculinity means, and sometimes those notions can hurt people. And who gets hurt can sometimes be men, other times it can be women. So, for example, sometimes... let's see... Yeah, like, Like the idea that boys don't cry. That is an aspect of toxic masculinity that encourages men to repress their feelings, to, like, not express themselves, and that's something that has genuine negative psychological consequences for men. This is something that hurts men, and like psychologists and like mental health professionals will almost all tell you that. Um, on top of that, like, there's there is like elements of toxic masculinity that come back and hurt men when it comes from, and it can come from women. There are women who will write off, for example, the topic of male rape. Like, as a society, we make fun of men because prison has tons of rape going on in it. We make fun of men who are considered weak because they might get raped. We laugh, or like Trapped. That's another great example. Trapped the other day was saying that, like, oh, it's fine for a 40-year-old woman to statutorily rape a child who's 15. That's not weird. But if you reverse it and have a 40-year-old man rape a 15-year-old girl, that's clearly bad. No, it's bad in both cases. In both cases, it's a crime where a child got raped. We shouldn't downplay one just because the rape happened to a young boy. That's what toxic masculinity is. These are ideas that hurt men. These are ideas that also hurt women. Like, the idea that boys will be boys is something that is used to kind of downplay the severity of rape. This is why Brock Turner only got like a month in prison. So yeah, these ideas are what constitute toxic masculinity. It is not to say that men are inherently toxic or inherently have these toxic ideas. It's that a lot of men have been raised in our society to be instilled with these ideas that have negative effects on men and sometimes negative effects on women. We can't turn our backs on Ultramen. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with people who are ultra manly either. Okay, thanks. I wasn't really trying to question the ideology of those ideas, even though I just did, lol. As my ideology is live and let live, if you don't shove your views onto me, I won't shove my views onto yours. So I wanted just to get a clear understanding of that conflicting ideology so I can just be at peace with it. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's all that, like, conflicting, right? It's just one of those things where it's outside of a lot of people's normal set of experiences. And, like, I don't hold it against anyone to not intuitively understand trans issues. Because I didn't fucking understand it until I was, like, 25. Men need to be strong men, good men. I agree. But you understand being a strong man and a good man requires men to be healthy towards themselves, right? You don't get strong and good men by having men repress their emotions. It's something that hurts men. It's something that causes a lot of damage to men. It reminds me of a stupid-ass tweet where I forgot how the tweet war started, but someone tweeted, yes, refusing to date someone due to your personal preferences is a form of bigotry known as inverse rape. The only way we can progress as a society is to force people to date those they aren't sexually attracted to. This will... Okay, Korach, that's some weird-ass shit. That's my take on that. That's some weird-ass shit. Listen, you're talking about ancient modern man, real men are full of love and fight for love and good for all? Wait, I'm talking about ancient modern men? I don't know what that means. Real men are full of love and fight for love and good for all? True. I will agree with that, though. I will agree with that. Real men, real women stand together as comrades. Archangel, you don't have to ban him yet. That's fine. He thinks real men are sensitive to all and strong also. True. And women are also sensitive and strong. These things are true. Yeah. Indeed. Humble tales, I agree. Men and women, strong and sensitive. We need to be both. But also, like, yeah, the concept of like men and women has changed very very widely over time and space. It depends on the culture you're talking about, depends on the time frame you're talking about. All these things have changed quite a bit. Men used to wear high heels in France. Like, yeah, we have these different ideas of what men and women are and what their roles in society are and what they should be. I'm just in favor of getting rid of the ideas that hurt men and hurt women. They used to be fabulous. Okay. Well, that was a very long segment. Now, I was hoping someone had messaged me in my DMs who had been looking at the Sophia Narwitz post and said that they thought I seemed cool. I invited them to come on the show to discuss some of their questions. They had a lot of questions about trans folk. I don't know. They said they were going to try and come on, but I haven't seen them in chat. But I would love it if you're out there, if you're lurking, let yourself be known, and we can have a good conversation in voice chat. But otherwise, I'm gonna move on. Maybe if they show up later, I'll talk about trans stuff again. But also, one of the ideas I saw in the Twitter thread as well was the idea that I talk about trans issues all the time. I don't. I don't talk about trans stuff all the time. I think I generally talk about it when it comes up. I don't shy away from the topic, but yeah, I don't talk about it all the time. I mostly talk about actual politics. Trans rights indeed, Dro stream. Trans rights indeed. Modern man is a brute, a dumbass. A thinking man understands and loves all people and is strong and full of love. Maybe. I don't think that modern man is weak. Modern man is just hedged in by harmful concepts of what being a man is. Let's get rid of some of that. Do we want to chat the 50+1 rule? Derby Yank, I haven't read the article yet. I'm very sorry. I also don't understand football. I don't get the kicking around of the ball. I'm sorry. I mean, as somebody who studied history, I can tell you that men and women have been considered very differently across time and space. There is no, like, ancient primeval man. Like, that's not a thing that exists. Dirty deeds, eat this. I'm sorry. I can't. The only way I can protect you from ads is if you subscribe, okay? That's the only way I can protect you from the ads. I know football, what's going on? Somebody wanted to discuss the 50+1 rule, and I have no idea what that means. I have an article to read about it, but I haven't actually read it yet. We need you, a fellow gamer, to do a funny face. It would be very poggers. All my faces are funny, friend. I edit these streams. I know that my face looks funny. Do 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 do. Also, Dirty Deeds eat this. I hope you enjoy whatever time you spend in my chat. Okay. And Frog Champoint 360. I hope you enjoy your time in my chat as well. I haven't seen either of you before. I hope you have a great time. Sad Champ. Oh, Infant Annihilator. I haven't seen you in my chat before either. I hope you have a great time. All right. Also, I hope you're not. I hope you're not super sad, champ. Okay, you're all my little pog champ.